My name is Nawa Sitali. I am from an organization or a movement called Youth for Parliament. It's based here in Zambia. We've been operating since 2018, but the process of organizing the movement started in 2016, and we're involved in sending young people to Parliament and the National Assembly, as well as the provincial and district assemblies. So in 2016, a colleague of mine and I decided that we needed to get young people in spaces of leadership. We were in the civil society, sort of doing actions and advocacy, training young people, and every time we got to an election, the young people that got elected and got into spaces of leadership were not the right kind of young people. They would always sell out. They would always be more loyal to their party than they would be to the people. And then we figured that it was very important that we change our approach to getting young people in spaces of leadership. And the reason why we wanted to get young people in spaces of leadership is because in Zambia here, majority of the population, about 72% of the population, is below the age of 35. Yet, in terms of decision making, they're excluded. And most of the policies that are made are not sustainable. They don't reflect the needs and aspirations of the young people. And the reason is because they're not sitting in those spaces where these decisions are being made. So we said it's important for us to get young people in spaces of leadership so that they can make decisions that concern their future, so that they can decide what they want to see in their future. So in the last 3-4 years, the biggest success has been to mobilize 60,000 young people to rally and join the movement. That's on the side of organizing the movement. We've been training young people and engaging them and bringing them in as organizers and mobilizers in the movement. But also, we've managed to get 150 young people in total across the country elected into spaces of leadership below the age of 35. And these are young people that are members of the movement that transitioned from civil society and now serving actively in politics at national level as well as local and district level. Three or 4 years before the elections, we did a call for people to join the movement as candidates to run for office. But we were asking specific questions. We would ask, are you a politician or are you in active politics? And the moment someone ticks and says, yes, they're in active politics, then they're disqualified. Most people thought that that would actually be a qualification for them to be part of the candidates program, but it was a disqualification. And then we would target young people that would indicate that they're from civil society and they live in a particular community that is affected by an issue that they're passionate about. And those are the ones that we would then identify and begin to train them and build their skills, build their character, build them to get ready and prepared for them to run for office in a particular seat they want to serve in. And the reason why we sort of avoid young people that are in politics is because we know that young people that are already actively in politics belong to a political party. And the political party has systems, processes, hierarchy, and all that stuff that goes on that prevents them from being objective. So we find young people who are driven by a passion of an issue that they are facing in their community, train them and sort of bring them up and have them run for office. So once they are elected, now that they are elected, for those that are serving in the National Assembly, we have worked with the National Assembly to form what is called a Youth Parliamentary Caucus. So it's a caucus of young people from different political parties that were supported by us who are in Parliament, that is serving as sort of an accountability framework to help them navigate around the issues of working in the National Assembly. But also, one of the things that we also provide as support is that we link these young people to different opportunities and different trainings to continuously build their credentials and build their capacity for them to be able to engage in politics. And we have also internally, as a movement, set up an accountability framework also to ensure that it checks the young people to see if what they are doing is what they say they were going to be doing on the campaigns, but also are they reflecting the values of the movement. And then our support to those young people is to the extent of their engagement in the things that they agreed to, so the sort of social contract that they signed that they would follow when they get elected. Before 2016, the approach of young people towards elections and politics and governance, it was apathy. Because remember, in Zambia, we've had revolutions, if you can call it that, that have happened. In 1991, we had a multi-party revolution that was led by young people. In 2011, we had a revolution that was led by young people where they turned out to vote. But after 2011, a lot of young people got disengaged and said, even if we show up and vote, even if we push for this change, nothing changes. So in 2021, when we started campaigning to get young people to vote, the sort of strategy that we're using was we were linking the daily problems of young people to elected office. And the reason why we're doing this is we wanted young people to get engaged. And after they turned up to vote, the levels of participation now and before the elections are even higher with young people. Young people are engaged in processes, they ask questions, they hold their leaders accountable, and even when you call for a direct action on the ground, young people show up, which was different before the elections. It's very important for young people that actually want to see change to get in the driver's seat and begin to drive that change. But it's not something that is done in a day. It's a process. The most important skill that I think has to be developed is patience. The ability to understand that for you to be able to transition from civil society to politics requires you to be very patient. Our plan for the future is to get an election where all the young people that are eligible to vote turn up to vote, but also almost all the young people that run for office actually run for office and win. That is the plan that we have for the future. We want to see a leadership or a parliament that is led by young people and young people only. And we want to see and use it as a test to see what change could be brought. Because already with the 150 young people that we have managed to get elected, we are achieving so much change. A lot of things. Civil society organizations now in Zambia and social movements don't have to go and protest outside the National Assembly. They just bring their issue, we take it to the young parliamentarians, we tell them this is the issue, take it to the floor of the House, and it is on the floor of the House. We've created mechanisms to avoid ourselves as a social movement falling into the trap of becoming a political party. Because some of the most oppressive political parties we've had in Zambia started as movements, and then they reformed and became political parties. And then they are the people that we're fighting now. So it has been a process of learning. But one thing that we have managed to sort out amongst ourselves is that we've avoided the idea of us transitioning to become the people that we actually are fighting against. And how we've been doing this is that, number one, as a social movement, we've agreed amongst ourselves that anyone who is in the leadership of the movement cannot run for public office. No matter what, you can't run for public office. That's number one. But also number two, the people that are serving in leadership are not accountable to the movement. They are accountable to the people in their communities. So when we mobilize people in a community, when we organize people in the community will have a structure that works with the member of parliament or the councillor to hold that member of parliament or the councillor in that area. As a person who's part of the people that are leading the movement, I have no right to go to a constituency and tell them that recall this person because they disagreed with what the movement said. A constituency and their structure have the right to decide. The approach that we're taking, the ultimate goal was not to get into political power. The ultimate goal was to get people power, to get young people to have power. That was the purpose of forming the movement. Political power was a means to an end. It was one of the things that we were hoping to achieve. But ultimately what we wanted is to get young people to a point where they can send someone to represent them, and if that person doesn't do right by them, they can recall that person, and for them to know that they have the power and the right to do that.